Hello, welcome back to another Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. How is everybody doing tonight? And happy holidays to you. We have our Christmas background going on for you through this whole month. Hope you guys have great holidays and a happy new year. Let's hope this coming up new year is a lot better than the one we've been in, at least the last couple years anyway. Let's hope this next year will be a lot better. Glad you guys are here. The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. And the only place where we get down to the bottom of what the Phoenix Lights really is and what these UFOs really are. How's everybody doing? Glad you could make it tonight. So I just got aware of this alleged sighting over China. And we're going to take a closer look at that. And let me just go through these files real quick. Yeah, so I just got somebody sent me this video and I was overlooking it and it looked, at first it looked pretty good. You know, I was almost convinced that these were, real UFOs, UAPs, Phoenix Lights over China, whatever you want to call it, until I was able to fully analyze it and take a look at it on a closer level, and we're going to do that tonight. And, someone who has been seeing these Phoenix Lights ever since I was a kid, I know what these things look like. I have had multiple sightings in Phoenix, Arizona. I know what flares look like. I videotaped flares just to, make the comparison. I went out to Tucson's Air Force Base and, I videotaped flares to see, what real Phoenix Lights look like compared to flares, because that's the big cover up here in the Valley of the Sun, is everybody seeing flares when that's a bunch of nonsense. And so, I've studied the lights, I've studied the day sightings. I've actually, went up on the mountain of South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, the heart, the place where these Phoenix Lights come and go from, and also these day UAPs that we see on a regular basis out here in Phoenix. So I went out there and I investigated the petroglyphs. I was the first one to actually match the petroglyphs with these UFOs that we see in the skies today over Phoenix. I matched the Phoenix Lights 1997 spread to the petroglyphs out there. I was told by a very credible Native American shaman up on the mountain. We did a tour up on the mountain. He taught me the petroglyphs. I understand, the holocons and the petroglyphs and what they actually are talking about. And then, I went to the Phoenix Library to find more information on, just the history of Phoenix, and I uncovered a folder that hasn't been seen from the public. Well, hasn't been seen from the public, right, in 80 years, and it talks about the first park ranger from the early 1930s, and he knew about the spirits of the earth and sky. He knew about the tombs on South Mountain. He explains on where the Hohokam people went, the first people who actually recorded the Phoenix Lights, and they ruled here for 1,000 years. They were masters of the canal systems, and then they simply vanished, right? So, I've been doing this for many years. I have a book out. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So, I'm probably the only one who's actually done more investigations on the Phoenix Lights and who's probably seen more and recorded more of the Phoenix Lights and also these things in the sky than anyone else, as far as I'm concerned. And, I have hundreds and hundreds of sightings, whether it's day, whether it's night. So I'm familiar with this stuff, and, I can tell when I look at something, because I've been doing this for so many years. When I look at a video, I know right away, whether it's a hoax, whether it's CGI, whether it's flares, whether it's planes, because why? Because I went out there and I studied all this stuff in the skies. So when I see something that's unexplainable, I can actually say, yes, I have never seen that before, or yes, that is an airplane, or yes, that is a real UFO because I've witnessed the exact same thing before. I'm totally experienced in this stuff, man, without a shadow of a doubt. And, you know, a lot of this stuff that I have uncovered over the last 20 years hasn't been seen and hasn't been told in 80 years. And I'm not saying anything new. I'm saying the stuff that hasn't been talked about in 80 years here in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't make any money off this. I don't make any money off my books. I don't make any money off the videos that some of these cable shows are airing on the cable channels and things like that. So it's not about the money. It's about this credible information that I'm bringing to you that I've dug up in my research of the Phoenix Lights and accidentally uncovering the true history of Phoenix, Arizona. Boy, I did. That just came out of nowhere, dude. I, investigating the Phoenix Lights, trying to figure out, what they are, what the petroglyphs are talking about. And, I accidentally uncovered, nothing happens by coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. So, that's why I think, I was seeing these things in the sky as a kid. And now we are here today, talking about the Phoenix Lights and talking about this history that hasn't been talked about in years, that explains what the Phoenix Lights are, that explains about the whole Cominians and the gold tombs that's buried on South Mountain, such. So my point is, I've studied these things a lot, right? And so this video, when it came out over here, over in China, with these lights going, across there like above the clouds is great. Apparently some people, some fighter jets or some military people were up above the clouds and they saw these lights, information, and they seemed to be going across the sky, right? And so a lot of people, that's the Phoenix Lights. Oh, those are UFOs, and I was fooled too at first. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, wow, that's great, because I wasn't able to, blow it up. I wasn't able to zoom in on it very well. It looked good on a little screen, on a phone screen. But once I was able to get it up on my big screen television, I soon realized, wait a minute, look, whoops. These aren't real UFOs, man. These are actually flares, and we're gonna talk about the reasons why these are flares over China later on in the show. But first, let's get on with the announcements. Okay, so Haunted Encounter Adventures is my other YouTube channel. Make sure you go out there and subscribe to that. If you like paranormal stuff, make sure you subscribe to Haunted Encounter Adventures. And it has me and my lovely wife on the front cover there, so you'll know that it's us. And so we go around to these haunted places here in Arizona, and we investigate and we look for ghosts. I use my SLS camera and lots of neat stuff. I just recently did a church out here next to Tucson, Arizona. That was really fun. Make sure you go out and check out that video. We're going back to the Arcadia Ranch for a third-part series. We've already been out there like twice now. And so I'm making this a series. We're going back out later again, and we're going to do another seance out there. We're going to do some more ghost investigations. So, yeah, look for that on Haunted Encounter Adventures coming up. Find us on Facebook also. Subscribe to that channel also. And, that's going to be great, man. So also find me on YouTube, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Make sure it says the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. There's a lot of people out there pretending to be me, and it's not. So I am the real deal, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. And here comes, what is this coming at you right now? Uh-oh, it's pretty covered up there. The Phoenix Lights, Landscape for the Spirits. True stories, myths, legends, and UFOs all over Phoenix. Written by yours truly. Now, this is 15 years of research, people, out there on South Mountain, in the field, crawling on my hands and knees, right? I've been from one end to that mountain to the other end of South Mountain, investigating the petroglyphs, going where they don't want you to go. I have been there. I have documented it, right? Shh, don't tell anybody. But yeah, dude, that's it. I've gone out there on the mountains many, many years. I've seen these things in the daytime. I've seen these UAPs or UFOs at nighttime. I connected these things to the petroglyphs out there in Phoenix, Arizona. No one's ever done that before. And I've been out there many times. And like I said before, I actually found a Native American shaman to go up there and teach me the true ways of the Hohokam people and true information, the information on the petroglyphs and how to understand them. And this book really goes into the lost history of Phoenix, Arizona. It explains who the Hohokam people were, how they arrived here in the valley, what happened to them after they disappeared after 1,000 years with no trace. Lots and lots of color photos of the petroglyphs and their interpretations and their meanings. And so it explains on what the Phoenix Lights truly is. And not just from hearsay from people out of town trying to make money. No, this is hardcore facts. This is proven evidence, folks. Talks about the tombs, talks about the gold, talks about the Mayans, talks about all this crazy stuff, right, that hasn't been talked about in 80 years. You can find it all right here. The Phoenix Lights, Landscape for the Spirits, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Find it on eBay and Barnes and Noble. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's move on. So I talk a lot about petroglyphs on South Mountain. It's like my hobby. That's why I call this Petroglyphs in the Sky. Is it called UFOs in the Sky? Is it called, crazy Phoenix Lights in the Sky? No, it's called Petroglyphs in the Sky because that is what's going on. These petroglyphs carved out here by the Hohokam Indians over 1,000 years ago are actually UFO sightings to us, and they are talking about what we see in the skies today. Matter of fact, I believe that these petroglyphs are meant for our generations. This is why we're coming to more to understand this stuff and to take a second look at what these petroglyphs are actually talking about, because it's not just some guy up there telling, just like some crazy story or this and that on what we thought was going on with these petroglyphs. No, this is real deal stuff, man. This is what these people went through on a daily basis. And they didn't have video cameras. They didn't have cameras back then. They had stone boulders to record their sightings on in the exact same spots on where the event took place at. This is the reason why we find some petroglyphs in one area and no petroglyphs in another area, is because nothing happened in that area. It happened over here. And this is why we're not supposed to move these petroglyphs from that site, because you're moving the story. You're moving history on what took place in that area. So yeah, moving the petroglyphs, that's a no-no. And let's get on with this. So these are glyphs here in Phoenix, Arizona. Oh my. So everyone has been asking me about this pitchfork petroglyph out here that I'm so concerned about. And everybody wants to know why I'm concerned about this. Let me move my arrow up here a little bit. There we go. Nope, didn't do that, did it? Did not do what I wanted it to do. Yep, there you go. Okay. Here we go. Here's that pitchfork that I'm talking about. See this right here? Now, there's a lot of petroglyphs out here in Phoenix that have this pitchfork, right? So this is actually, when you look at, some of these other petroglyphs out there, when it comes to this half here, this is like the bottom half of what some people call a lizard man. Those of you in my past shows, and I think maybe later on I might have a photograph of what I'm talking about here. I'm not sure, but in my last shows, I talk about these pitchforks, and this is like the bottom half of the lizard man, but you can see here, it's not going into a man, because that's all it is. It stops right here, right? It only has its legs and its tail, and the body is missing, and you can barely tell. There could be an orb right there, because I talk about these circles in the bellies of these supposed lizard people, right? And I say that orb right there is actually the orb that we see in the skies today, and it's actually morphing, right? It's changing shape. It's growing. I look at what's happening in stages. This is like when we first see that orb in the sky. That's the first stage. The second stage is that orb is going to morph. Okay, there's more to these orbs and to these lights than just these lights in the sky. These things anthropomorph. They change shape. They grow, if you will. Sometimes they like to take the shape of a snake, or sometimes they actually look like a stick figure man. Those of you who are familiar with my sightings know that my wife and I filmed this serpent coming out of this light, and it turned into like the stick figure man, and it went across South Mountain. You can find that on my website. And I've seen these things, and so that stage 2 is that orb, And when we see the petroglyphs with the lizard guys in it, so there's always an orb in his stomach, in the belly. And from that orb outgrows whether the bottom of this pitchfork with the legs and the tail, and then also he grows arms and a possible head, which could also be another orb attaching itself to the other orb with this line, creating what looks like a barbell in the sky, right? So these things, that's stage 2. All right, they're morphing, they're changing shape. All of a sudden, people get ready for it because it's going to happen. It is happening now. It's just a lot of people hasn't witnessed this yet. I have. These orbs are going to change, man. They're going to shape shift, right? They're going to change. You're going to see it right before your eyes. It's crazy. I filmed it. I've seen it. It's awesome. These orbs, they're orbs in the sky. They're going to morph people. They're going to change shape, right? They're going to look like things, either an animal or a man or a serpent. Get ready for it. It's coming at you quick. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is when they actually come down. Come down and interact with mankind. But stage 3 isn't going to happen, at least in my opinion, not in our lifetime. Who knows? We might see it, and let's hope that we don't, because I just don't believe all this stuff. I mean, it's a miracle these things are here, and it just goes with some of these scrolls that we've been reading about and some of these ancient texts and things like that. So they're telling us, dude, that stuff is really here, and yeah, we're not crazy, and we're not seeing flares or balloons and stuff, that these UFOs are really here. And there is something here, and when you really dig down deep into all this, you'll really learn that these things have actually been here on Earth ever since the beginning of time. And the more and more I studied about this, the more I was convinced that they're not from another planet, that this is their home also. This is their world also. They have always been with us. And so yeah, that you can find all that in other stories, in other shows, past shows. But here we go with this this pitchfork. They have a spiral right now. Now this petroglyph is on top of this huge, what I like to call a stage. All right, it's right off of I believe 24th Street and Baseline in Phoenix, Arizona. So those of you who are in Phoenix and you want to check it out, so there's like this. How can I explain it? There's this valley on 24th Street. When you're at South Mountain on Baseline, there's this valley, right? And to the left, far back to the left, there's huge rock formation. It's huge. And I call it a stage. And the only petroglyph that I found on that rock was on top of it, and this is it here. I found this petroglyph. This is on top of a very, very high rock. It was pretty hard to get up on there, to climb up on there. There's actually a trail that walks around. It took me about maybe an hour to walk that trail up on top of this huge stage, rock boulder cliff. So once I got up there, I found this petroglyph here, and here it's got a spiral. So we all know what the spirals are from past shows. So the spirals are representing doorways for these spirits, for these entities of the earth and sky. And this one is going down, right? So, and look, it's going clockwise, right? So it's a doorway in, right? And where it's facing down, it's actually facing to that stage. It's carved on the huge boulder stage, and it's actually facing down. So it's telling us that the doorway into the underworld is actually this whole stage, is the big boulder itself, is this huge, massive chunk of, the sucker's high, dude, and so it's like a massive doorway, right? And then look, so let's blow this up just a little bit more. Take a better look at this, right? All right, so if you look real closely, examine this. Look at this. See this? This thing, it's connected, right? There's like a little orb right there, right? And it's coming It's either, and it must be going into the stone because it's a doorway in, right? So it must be going into the stone, into the doorway to the underworld, right? Because here's the orb, and look, it's all connected to the pitchfork, right? So it's all connected here, and then it's got like this orb here, and it's going down into the underworld, down into the stone, down into the fault line, energy source, the main reason why these things are hanging around South Mountain all the time for thousands of years. This isn't anything new. This has been going on for thousands of years, folks. And so, yeah, they're going down into that energy source. This is the reason why we have a lot of sightings in one area and no sightings in another area, because it's basically they're following the fault lines. They're following the sun. When the sun gets in the right position of these energy lines, these ley lines, these fault lines, it creates a doorway, a fusion effect, and it attracts these beams to these energy sources. And it just so happens that South Mountain is one of those major energy sources, and this is the reason why we have so much UFO sightings in the Valley of the Sun, is because of the mountains around this valley that has been created with these fault lines. So over here we have on the other side, we have these like circles, right? And these are not UFOs. I mean, excuse me, these are not spirals. Because why? They're not connected together. See how we can tell that this is all one line, consistent spiral line, but this one isn't, right? It's just just lines, circles within a circle. Now, when I film these lights, when I see these lights in the sky, they're like plasma, right? It's like energy. They're there for the energy. So they're sucking up all this energy, right? And they're pulsating. All right, and when you notice, when you look back at the video, or even when you see it in your own eyes, when you see it for yourself, they're pulsating, right? And I believe that's what this is representing. It's pulsating. It's like a wave. It's a wave of light. Well, first, boom, 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 boom. See, it's like pulsating. It's flashing, if you will, or just pulsating. The plasma is pulsating this entity as it absorbs the energy, and this is what I believe is going on here. So we have like the regular light, the light in the sky, but then and all these other circles are the waves of light. You get it? You understand what I'm saying? It's pulsating. It's boom. It's like a circle. It's like waves. That's a good example. When you throw a rock in some water and the waves come out, it's exactly what's going on with these petroglyphs here. Is the light's in the sky and he's pulsating, okay, and he's got this energy, so he's sucking up the energy and he's flashing, dude. And that's exactly what I believe these petroglyphs are representing. So, and why am I so afraid of this pitchfork? Well, I believe in our last show we talked about how these phoenix lights, these creatures, these spirits of the earth and sky, actually took the Hohokam people away, and this is what the petroglyphs depict. The petroglyphs depict these type of pitchforks, whether it's a lizard man connected to it later on, or just the bottom half here. And this line, this tail, is actually not a tail at all, but it's a line, and it's coming down and it's picking dogs up, it's picking animals up, it's picking people up and carrying them off into the sky. And so that's a lot of the reason why I'm a little leery of this glyph here when I see it, because I've seen it so many times before around Phoenix, and that pitchfork just isn't a very good thing. It's there to take people away, and not only is the oral tradition of what happened to these Hohokam people reference to that, but also the petroglyphs, man. The petroglyphs. Oh my God, it's a photograph, dude. It's a prehistoric photograph of what happened. And so I think we need to take a second look at these glyphs, to understand, what's to come, right? And this is the reason why I don't believe that there ever will be disclosure, because I do know that these government people, they've been watching this stuff a lot longer than I have, and I know that they know the history of these beings in the sky, and it's not a good one. All right, so, and they're not going to tell you. They are not going to tell you. They're not going to create a panic. All right, because if people, if the government came out, the Phoenix governor came out, right, and says, hey, guess what? There's There's entities, there's creatures, right, coming and going from South Mountain out there, and they were responsible for the first people who lived here in the valley being vanished, being taken away. They're responsible for their disappearance, and now they're back. But don't worry, folks, things are fine. They're just there absorbing the energy. They're just watching us. Yeah, they look like snakes. Oh my God, they look like lights and orbs and diamonds and crazy stuff, right? But don't worry, it's fine. They're just there. How many people would actually stay in that valley, right? You know, the people, the Holcomb people, the first people, right? They saw what was going on. There was a lot of people that got taken away, but there were some that were smart and hid in caves, and they saw what was going on. When it was all over with, they were like, dude, we are not going to live here in this valley no more. This is a cursed land. Did you see that crazy stuff that was going on? What happened to my friend, dude? He got taken away. He got taken away by a flying serpent, man, by a flying snake. What's up with that, dude? I am not going to live here in this valley. They cursed Phoenix, Arizona. They cursed this. They knew that if they were going to continue to live here in Phoenix, Arizona, they would have to go back to war, right? Back to war with these spirits of the earth and sky. And they're like, dude, I'm not dealing with that, man. We are not going to live here in this valley no longer. So where'd they go? Where did they go? They're the survivors of this of this Holocaust. Well, they went back to Mexico, man, where they came from, right? And nobody lived in this valley. Archaeologists wants us to believe, well, the Holcomb people, they simply, they walked away from this, rush landscape, because it wasn't a desert at that time. It was a tropical-like landscape. It was beautiful here. It wasn't all dried up and dead. It was a very pretty place here. So why would you walk away from this? And even when we move, we take our belongings with us, but yet the Holcomb did. They left everything there and just simply vanished. Archaeologists, they just migrated somewhere else because it got too hot. Well, if that's the case, where did they go? There's no evidence on where these people went. They ruled Phoenix for 1,000 years, and all of a sudden they disappeared. And the archaeologists are saying, they just walked away. It's okay. It's just fine. They just walked away. And they left their stuff, right? Because they don't need it no more because they walked away. Everything's fine. Everything's hunky-dory. Come on, people. What's up with that, dude? Right? No, man. No. These people were taken away by these things, right? So, absolutely. And so when I see that pitchfork, that one makes me nervous, and hopefully we won't see that pitchfork in our lifetime. And if you do, make sure you record it and get the hell out of Dodge. Just don't stick around. That's my advice to you. Okay, let's move on. Here we go. Giants. Yes, there were giants here in Phoenix, Arizona. There was so much evidence of giants on Phoenix. And this petroglyph here is on Hieroglyphic Trail. That one is pretty cool. I did the pilot for the UFO Hunter show in 2005. And I took Pat Uskert up on South Mountain, and we went to the Hieroglyphic Canyon because I knew there was a lot of neat petroglyphs there. That was a hard hike. That's not a hike. That's a climb. We're literally on our hands and knees climbing up on these boulders. As a matter of fact, Pat couldn't carry his equipment anymore, so I'm carrying all this equipment. I'm going up the mountain, right? And Pat's trailing behind. Once we got up there, it was great. We saw huge spirals, we saw barbell formations, and we did a lot of video filming on Hieroglyphic Trail, and this was one of them. This right here, this huge giant. And there's evidence. There's so much evidence of giants here in Phoenix, Arizona, not only from the huge walls that they were building out here on South Mountain, in which the CCC, the Conservation Corps, blew up back in the early 30s. They blew up a lot of evidence of the giants and the tombs and the altars. I mean, they really tried to do a real good job on concealing the evidence here of this formal civilization that Phoenix rose out from the fiery ashes from. They really are trying to bury that story, and so much that they threw all this information in a folder in the Phoenix Library away from public eye for 80 years until I accidentally discovered it. And because I was out there on South Mountain, right, and I'm finding tombs and I'm finding altars and I'm finding Mayan petroglyphs and I'm finding evidence of giants, and I'm like, dude, what is up with all this crazy stuff? You know, the archaeologist isn't talking about this. Why? You know, why? You know, I've been an amateur archaeologist way before I was a sky watcher. You know, so I love archaeology. I love history. And so I could spot something, you know, man-made a mile away. And when I found these tombs and when I found these huge blocks that had been cut from huge, heavy granite stones and had been placed on top of each other, making this huge wall, and then this huge pile of dirt been covering up, I mean, just come on. And the tombs out there, where obviously somebody big, somebody very strong, broke these rocks in half, slid them over, and threw a huge slab of stone into an entrance of a tomb. That's on my website. You can check out my website on my YouTube channels. All the descriptions of my YouTube channel, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, has a link to my website. There you can see one of the evidence of the tombs. Also in my book, I talk about it. I show photographs of this. And you can see somebody very big, somebody very powerful broke this boulder up and slid some of it. And oh my God, it's just crazy, dude. Yeah, dude, come on now. All right, we find evidence of the giants. All right, so much of it. And then we find the petroglyphs, right? The photographs, the ancient photographs of giants. And here's one right here. Okay, and notice he doesn't have a tail, he doesn't have a belly, a circly belly, right? So we know that he is a huge giant. Now, this petroglyph here, every time I see this type of glyph, now it's like, you know, he's looking up at this giant, right? Every time I see this type of petroglyph, it's like a sun marker. And as a matter of fact, right above here, I don't show this in this photograph here, but right above here is a solstice marker. This huge slab of stone is sticking out on top of this valley where this petroglyphs can be found at. And this wall here, there's a big slab of stone sticking out. Now that's purposely put there. When the equinox or the solstice, when the sun starts to come around during these times, during these changes of the seasons, it casts a shadow. It casts a shadow from that boulder on top where this petroglyph is carved at, and casts a shadow down, and it goes up into a crack, meaning the crack is the underworld. I don't show it on this photograph, but this wall here where these glyphs are carved at, it's a huge crack. It's a huge opening. It's a huge doorway into the underworld for these phoenix lights, for the spirits of the earth and sky, for these creatures to come and go in. And so, yeah, that's basically what's going on this panel. And when I took this photograph, I was more concerned about this giant. And but yeah, and see, we have these guys here. Now we know, look at this guy here. Let's blow this up, right? Let's blow this up here. Look at that. That's a regular guy. We can tell that. We can tell that is a regular person. He doesn't have an orb in his belly. He has no tail. He's just a regular person, right? And he's probably standing. See this crack here? They used everything in the art. When you look at the petroglyphs, just don't examine the rock art, but examine everything around the rock art. Okay? Examine where it's carved at. Look at each crack in the stone. Right? Because the artist is putting the information in with the art. He's putting the landscape in with the art. All right, now look, see how it matches this crack here? See, so he's standing on this crack. There's no spirals representing a doorway that I can see that I remember being here. The huge crack was down here below us. Below this petroglyph is a huge crack down here. But here he's standing on top of a crack, and it could be the top of the canyon, the top of the cliff, right? So he's standing up there, and we have this huge giant there. Look at these things over here. That's kind of weird. It looks like a little coyote right there. So yeah, Obviously, the giants have been here in Phoenix, Arizona. That is, the evidence there is just overwhelming. This is one of my favorite petroglyphs. This is on South Mountain. This is on Holbrook Trail, um, going west. All right, so Holbrook Trail, they really want you to go east. Okay, but when you go west on Holbrook Trail, off of Central Avenue in Phoenix of South Mountain, when you go west, you'll find this carving on the valley in this huge crevice on the north side of the canyon on this wall. This is great. Now look at this. Look at this right here. Okay, let's examine here. So this is a doorway, the spiral. See that spiral? And what is it? It's going counterclockwise. So it's meaning it's a doorway out. When a spiral goes clockwise, it's a doorway into the stone. When a spiral is going counterclockwise, it's a doorway out of the stone. When the spiral ends down, there's like a crack in that rock, or it's talking about the door, or it's talking about the ground where this boulder or petroglyph is carved at. It's that whole area, that bottom area, wherever that spiral is oriented to, is the emergence point. So when the spiral ends up, then there's a doorway in the sky. Then we're talking about a vortex. And that's what the spiral is pretty much is a symbol of. You're looking down into a tunnel. You're looking into a tunnel. It's a vortex. There's a door of the sky. That's when these lights just magically appear in the sky. They're right over that energy source. They're right over that doorway. Here they come from another dimension. Very good. And they're coming through that doorway, through that spiral doorway. Now, this one is it's going counterclockwise, right? So it's a spiral out, right? It's a doorway out, and look what it's doing. It's going to the stone here. See this? Now, look at this. This guy has already came out of the stone, and this guy here, notice how he's not completed carved yet? See that? That's for a reason, because he is halfway in our world and halfway in the underworld. Get it? This guy, he's already out. He's ready to fly. Okay? But this guy here, he's coming out. He's stuck. He's in between the rock. He's in our world and in the spirit world. See that? So he's coming out of the stone. That's exactly what these Phoenix Lights and these other UFOs do. These things are not spaceships. These things are not crafts. These things are living entities. And I understand why they call them spirits is because when they come down out of the sky, they're solid. They're shape-shifting. They're anthropomorphing, like the archaeologist wants to say that they're doing. They're anthropomorphing. They're changing shape. They're solid. They're changing color. When they come down out of the sky and they start to go across the mountain, that's when you can see through them. You can start to see through them. These things make no noise. These things cast no shadows. I know. I've been there. I've witnessed it. I look when they're going across the mountain. I'm looking for a shadow. I'm looking for all this stuff, right? No noise, no shadows. And they come down around the mountain, and then they start to disappear. You can see through them. When they get closer to a doorway, to a rock, to a boulder, to a canyon in the mountain, when they get close to that canyon, when they get close to that crack, when they get close to that emergence point, they just dissolve. They dissolve right into the stone. Yes, this is true. This is not just a myth and legend. I have seen this. I have witnessed this. I have filmed this. These things come and go from South Mountain. They're going down into that fault line. They're going down into that energy source. And this is what these petroglyphs are talking about. They're talking about this doorway. It's a doorway out. It's referencing down. Now it's talking about the stone. We have two beings here. One guy has already came out of the stone. We can see he's already full. This guy, he's halfway out of the stone. Absolutely. That's exactly what these glyphs are talking about. It's one of my favorite sightings because it really explains on these. Oh, wait, look. Oh, I was covering up. Uh-oh. Here we go, too. Here we go. There's another spiral there. And so look at that. It's a doorway in. And it's still oriented down to the to the stone there. See that spiral there? So we have two spirals. We have two doorways. Da 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 da. Two doorways. Two emergence points. And it's Indian in this stone here. So this guy's either now, because we have two doorways, it's hard to tell if he's coming or going. But just looking at it, I can tell. And look, see, he's coming out of this. He's over here. They're all over here. So they're coming out of the stone. They've already went in the stone because they're not over here, right? If they were going in the stone, they would be over here. Get it? But no, they're coming out of the stone because they are oriented here. The spiral doorway coming out of the stone. See that? Way cool, way cool. Love it, love it, love it. This is exactly how to understand these petroglyphs. Like I said before, I am not saying anything new. This is not my opinion. Okay? This is stuff that hasn't been told in 80 years. All right? This isn't just my interpretation. No, this is the real interpretation of these petroglyphs. I was taught by the best. And I've seen from my own eyes what these things actually do. Here we go here. Here's another neat petroglyph here. And so, I always like to include, when I take photographs from up there on the mountain, I always like to include like some part of the city or the sky or something like that. So this right here is Phoenix. We're on South Mountain, and I want to say this is more on the east side of South Mountain. I'm not exactly sure where I discovered this at, but I want to say around 25th Street, maybe 18th Street, somewhere around in that area, high up on South Mountain. You're going to see this wall, okay? And it's oriented, right? It's facing that way towards the city. So this light, see this orb here? And there's a dot. We've been talking about those dots in my past shows. But here we have a circle and orb, right? And it's overlooking the valley there. So you have to include, when you look at the petroglyphs, you have to include the landscape in with the art to understand what they're talking about. And here he's talking about an orb, most likely over the city. Now look at this glyph here. See this here? This represents energy. These are energy symbols. There's a lot of some people like to think that they're handshakes. Like the grip, like they're handshaking. There's a lot of interpretations on that they're handshaking. There's a lot of Mayan petroglyphs that look like these they're interacting. Both hands are interacting like this. But actually, what it's representing is an energy source, and it's telling us that this right here. You see this? This is actually the stone. This is actually the stone that goes down, and so this is the block stone that it's carved on, and it's going down into the fault line, and all these energy, the power, if you will, is generating from this stone. That's exactly what those glyphs are representing. So when you see those types of petroglyph symbols, you're in a good spot to see UFO activity, because this is the spot on where they're going to hang out at. And then, look, it's right over an orb. See that? It's right over, the orb is right over the energy, and it's coming out of the stone, and it's going towards the valley of the sun. Neat, huh? Okay. Let's move on. Uh-oh. Looks like that's it for the petroglyphs. Okay. So, let's talk about this sighting, this alleged sighting over China. Here's the original sighting. Let's take a look at this. Let's blow it up so we can take a look at this. For those of you who haven't seen this yet, it's pretty neat. And like I said before, it almost fooled me at first. Let's go ahead and play this. This was taken from another military aircraft. And look what they're doing there. And look how they're in formation. And it does look like they are moving, like towards me, if you will, on the screen. It does look like they are moving, right? But the airplane is moving that it's being filmed from. Okay? The airplane is moving. The airplane is moving in the opposite direction of where these lights are being filmed at, making it appear that they are actually moving. They're moving in flight. Now here's a close-up on it. Here's a zoom. Now look at that. See that? Take a good look at this here. Now at first I was fooled. I was like, wow, that's a neat sighting. Look at that. That's great. But the more and more I looked at it, especially when I blew it up on my big screen, and those of you who are watching this show right now, or seeing the broadcast, the replay broadcast on a big screen television, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Well, I'll get into it here in a minute. But if the bigger the screen, the more evidence you'll see that these things are not the Phoenix Lights. They're not real UFOs, but they're actually flares, and we're gonna go into that here. We're gonna show this here in a minute on how these things are flares. This is very interesting. Now look at them. See, look how they're just coming in, and look, examine it, study this, study this, study this. Look how they're just popping in this way. Okay, examine that. Let's take a look at this real closely. Look what they're doing, okay? Especially when the video zooms in on the next part. It looks good from a distance, right? But the airplane is obviously far away, and so this camera, who is filming this, had to zoom in. They probably zoomed in all the way because this airplane filming these is quite a distance from this. And we'll go into some more information on that. So I want you to understand that this video was taken quite far away. And all they're seeing are these lights. Now look at this. Just look at the pattern there. See the pattern? See how they just pop in like that? And then pop in again. And then pop in again. See that? Now, let's look at some flares. Let's look at the flares. Well, what is this? Okay. Let's look at the flares. Let me find the flares. Here we go. Okay. So we are going to look at some flares being dropped out. And we're going to compare it to this sighting. Let's go ahead and play this. Now, the bottom is the flares. Okay, and if you look really closely, you can see like a little blinking light. Look for that little blinking light coming up here. Hello, where are you? There we go. Okay, so the airplane is dropping these flares out, right? Boom, there's a flare, right? There's a little blinking light. See it? There it is again. There it is again. There's a little blinking light. You see that? And then boom, here comes the flares again. All right? Now look at the formations. Look at that. Look at the formations. Look how their airplane is dropping these. Oh, see that little blinking light up there? That was an airplane. That's an anti-collision light. Okay? So let's move this up a little bit further. And let's move this a little bit more. Okay, so let's look at them both at the same time here. Okay, let's examine it. Look, see how these things, and look how they're small. They're small, right? They're small, right? And they don't last that long in the sky, right? They're disappearing. They're going in the same line. See that there? And look what these are doing here. They are doing the exact same thing, right? Let's see if it'll show it again. Here we go. We see, boom. They're going in a pattern. Then you can, if you look closely enough, you can see the little anti-collision light, little blinking light. There it is, boom. All right. And again, here we go again. There's the flares. And then look, see how they're going in the same motion, the same formation as these lights up here. So are these flares down here on the bottom. Exact same thing. Now, so the airplane is moving in this direction, filming it up here. Okay? So the airplane is moving in this direction, filming these lights. Okay? And that's why it's making it appear that the lights are moving from left to right, because the airplane is moving. It's moving in this direction as it's being filmed. Whoops. Sorry about that. As it's being filmed. So the airplane's going this way. Film. So it looks like the lights are coming this way. Let's get another arrow out. Oh. So the lights are going this way. It makes it appear that the lights are going this way because the airplane is going this way. Right? So it's just it just makes it look like they're actually moving across these clouds here. Okay? And then the flares down here on the bottom. Let's look at this one more time. You see the resemblance here. You see how they look the same. And look how small they are, right? And so these Phoenix lights, they're huge. Those of you who have actually seen these lights know what I'm talking about. These lights are huge, man. They're big, orange, amber, burning, pulsating lights, right? Excuse me. Get choked up, man. It's so cool talking about this. So yeah, you know, these lights are huge. And you can see the anti-collision light. Okay, now let's show something else here. Let's keep this up here for a minute. Let's bring in another video. Okay. Now, this video here, all right, is the exact same video on the top of the China. Let's just move this for a minute. Let's just move this over here to the side for a minute, just for a second. Now, let's look at this. All right. This video here, I used a filter on to get a better look at them. And you can see them a little bit more. A little better. See that? Look at that. You see that? This is how we do true investigations on things. So we have to look at it in so many different ways, just so we know what we're looking at. And this is why, you know, this is why I tell so many people, look, if you're going to film something in the sky, it is very important. It is so important that you film it leaving the sky also. I know there's times when your battery dies. That's happened to me before. You want to use a video camera for one. Try not to use cell phones. You want to use a video camera. And always show how the object leaves the sky, because there's so many you know, things out there. And so we really need to get a proper analyzation of what's going on here. We need to, you know, see how the object comes into the sky and leaves the sky and moves and things like this. So just don't edit and cut things off. We want to see raw video, especially myself. I want to see the raw video to properly analyze it. And this is one of the ways that I do. And look at this. Okay, so this is in black and white. This is a filter in black and white. Now here's the negative. Isn't that neat? Let's look at it in negative. Look how they're moving. Okay. Now, let's look at the flares in the same perspective. These are the flares now. let's do the same comparison as we did in a normal video with the filtered video. Okay. Move this up a little bit. Get a better look at stuff. Here we go. Look at that. See? They look the exact same way. Maybe I can stop this real quick if I can get a good stop on it. Boop. Nope, I missed it. Let's wait. Okay, let's okay, boom. Let's stop this one because that's perfect. And now let's stop this one. See? Stop. You're supposed to stop. Did you stop? No, you didn't stop, dude. Okay, let's try to get this right here to stop. Stop. Here we go. Look at this. Look. See this? Here's the lights in China. Here's the flares here. Right? Look at the similarities. Do you see this here? Look at the similarities with the known flares. We know that the bottom video is flares. And then this top video, that's the China video. You see that? Let's play them both. Isn't that neat? This is one of the ways on how we can tell what we're actually looking at. Because, you know, there's just so many hoaxes out there and stuff like that. And so we need to be careful on, you know, what to believe and what not to believe. And, you know, at first I was fooled too at first. Oh, you can see kind of the blinking light here on the flare drop. Oh, you see a little blinking light over there? Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, how come we don't see anti-collision lights on the China video, right? So we know it's, you know, we know these are flares here. We can see the blinking light there from the aircraft. We see no blinking lights up here in the China video. Notice that? So these blinking lights are anti-collision lights. And when you're in the military and you don't want to be seen, you turn the lights off, correct? So this obviously is an exercise where they're flying without the lights on. Now, the reason, let's pause that. That's pretty neat. The reason why we don't see the airplane, the jet airplane, I mean, we don't see it in this video either, do we? We just see you know, the blinking light. We know, oh, there goes one. There goes like a light there. Oh, there goes another light there. We know the airplane's there because of his anti-collision light. But we see no anti-collision lights up here because obviously he's got it turned off. And so why don't we see the aircraft? We should at least see the exhaust system, right? We should see the fire from the jet, right? From the jet exhaust, right? From the propulsion, right? But we don't. Why is that? And remember what I said in the beginning of this? Is this aircraft filming these lights is very far away. So we're not seeing the aircraft. The aircraft is not coming into view because it's so small. All right, we don't see the airplane in this one and the flare droppings, right? And we also don't see aircraft in the China one. We see the only thing to suggest, you know, that there is an aircraft is, well, we know they're flares and they're being dropped out from an airplane, but also from the you know, anti-collision lights. But we have no anti-collision lights up here because they obviously have them turned off because this is a military drill and you don't want to, you know, let the world know that you're coming with these lights. So you turn off the lights. And then because we do not see the aircraft dropping these flares out, it's because it's being filmed very, very far away. Absolutely. Isn't that neat? Way cool, way cool. Listen, here's the flares again. There's the flares. And see, now look, we don't even in real time or whatever, in this area here, we still don't see any jets, right? We still don't see any airplanes. We don't see the fire from the, you know, exhaust from the jet. all we see are these lights all of a sudden appearing. Why? Because this is filmed very far away. You're not going to see the jet. The only reason why we know that this is a jet is because every once in a while we'll see a blinking light. Nope, right. No, okay, that's a flare. Yeah, we can see them going up in formation like that. And then if you look really closely, you can see them, especially in, I noticed when I blew up this sighting, this alleged sighting in China, up in the big screen TV, you can actually see it being projected out. You can see it being fired out. You can right before, especially in these lights over here. There's one light on this side here. This light right here, I believe. When you blew it up on the big screen television, it's the second from the first light. You can really see it being shot out. You can see a fire projectile releasing these flares. So yeah, absolutely, very, very cool, very cool, and it's a very good example on what to look for, and what to mistake real military flares under Phoenix lights, stuff like that, UFOs. Very cool. And here's the original sighting. I don't think I have any more. What's this? Okay, yeah. There's the flare sighting. Absolutely, way cool, way cool. This is such a neat example, on what to look for when you're looking at UFOs, when you're UFO hunting, and what to understand what you're looking at. So yeah, this is a pretty cool video. So, and I think we're going to end it there. Make sure that you guys subscribe. Let's look at the comments here. Hello, Heather. Hello, Nathan. Nathan, Heather, Kathy, Stony. Hey, what's up, Sean? Jason, what's up, Jason? And what's going on, Nathan? And hey, from Australia. How you doing, man? Glad you could join us. And hi, Heather. Glad you're here. Nathan, you're awesome. Saw these spirals on a huge bear X rock in Durango, Colorado. Yes, that's one of the things, right, on these petroglyphs is they're just, it's like the same symbols. Everywhere you go, it's the same symbols, spirals. And, people send me videos or photographs of petroglyphs from all over the world, and it really looks like it's the same artist. And that's kind of freaky. It's the same spirals, it's the same lizard man, it's the same type of stories, and it even looks like it's the same artist, So yeah, it's not just here in the West Coast, it's not just here in the United States, it's all over the world. I think that one Iceman that they found out there, I can't remember where they found it. I think in Iceland or something like that. He was like a mummy, and he actually had a spiral. This is a caveman. He had a spiral tattoo on his eye, And so yeah, these petroglyphs and these spirals and things like that. That's been going. I mean, you can find it all over the world, and pretty much it's the same story. It may be told just a little bit different, but basically it's the same story. And it talks about what happened to their people, how they lived, what they saw, what they did, and where they went. Once you understand these glyphs, these symbols, yeah, you understand the history. It's great. Thanks, Nathan. One huge rock. Sorry, autocorrect. It's okay. Looks like stacked stones. Not sure which one you're talking about yet, but yeah, there are a lot of stacked stones out there on South Mountain. I think I've shown you some of those, Heather, when we go on our tours together. And hopefully next year you'll be able to come down, and there's a lot of some petroglyphs that I want to show you when you guys come down and venture out here to Arizona. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna call it a night. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, and we will see you guys next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. The Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky on the YouTube channel. And so yeah, we will see you guys next time. Bye bye. Thanks for listening.